Hey everyone.
Hey.
So we just want to go through a couple of the repairs that we did during the summer that we didn't get on video before we get into the repairs that we did get on video. So while the mast was out, we did a couple things. One of them, which we have video for, was the jib sheet track, which is that guy right there. Pulled that out and rebedded it. One of the other things we did are the chain plates going through the deck for the standing rigging. So we pulled all those out and rebedded all of those. We also had an issue with this port light here leaking really bad into the head, so we pulled that out and we rebedded that as well. We rebedded the bow pulpit, which we have some video to show you on. The only thing on the bow pulpit, so you know, so we didn't get us actually setting it down with the 4200 and screwing it down, just for the fact that 4200 is messy. Didn't want to get the camera messy.
And we needed both of us.
Yeah, needed
both of our hands.
Yeah, so it took two of us to do it all. So yeah, it wasn't going to work out to have to try to set up a camera to do that, and you wouldn't have been able to see anything because of where it is on the boat too. One of the other things that we need to repair, we're not really sure when we're going to do it or what we're going to do, but as you can tell, we have plastic over the big windows. Last year we had a big tarp going over the whole top of the boat, but we decided to plastic these off. We thought that the leaks coming into the nav station on the other side of the boat were coming from the jib sheet track, but they're actually coming from the big windows, and it's actually on the other side. You can actually see where it's coming through. The seal between the window and the frame is actually leaking on the other side. So we did that. We also have, we noticed the other night it rained like 1.25 inches, I think it was, overnight, and these windows here were also leaking. So today we're going to be sealing those up, since we have some non-rainy weather and it's not windy, and it's been super windy for I don't know,
Like all week.
yeah, all week.
So to be clear, we're going to plastic them. We're going to cover the windows with plastic. We're not going to do the repair.
Yeah, we're not going to rebed them right now. So we'll go down in the boat and show you a couple of things I did while we had the mast out. So one of the things that we did was, when we would come down the companionway, the floor here was really like squeaky and had a lot of give to it. So I cut a panel here, and I cut it out, and it goes underneath the step actually. And I reinforced that with 2x2, but it makes it so that I have an inspection panel here for the bilge. And also I tightened up the 1x1 that was running underneath here, so that it would actually support the floor, because it wasn't even connected to anything. I'm not going to pull it off to show you. It's really more of an inspection panel than something you'd go in all the time, so I didn't put a hole in it to pull it out or anything, and we'll just pull it out as needed. So we do have to put the bungs in still, sand them down. We'll do that when we kind of like repolish the floor. So next thing we did was since we had the floor all taken out to do the mast step, excuse the carpet, we're actually getting new carpet from a friend. But so what we did is we left the panels like this on both sides, so that we can fairly easily pull up the panel and have an inspection area for the mast step. And if you have an island or free port, you'll know how important that is. So we have this inspection area now, and what I did for the subfloor is I put 2x4 cedar, and then I screwed it in through the top, from the top, and that's what's supporting the floor now. Excuse the water down there because it's been rainy and it comes through the mast. So, and that's one of the things I still need to do is put a hole in the bottom so that the mast can drain down into the bilge. Still haven't done that yet because I guess I've just been being lazy about it. So we'll put this one back in. So another thing we did, since we had the floor out and we had to actually cut the poly floor on this side over here, I'm just going to show you on this side because it's kind of hard for me to get under there, is we actually put a hinge on it so that it can hinge up, and then we have our extra shore power cables down there, and then on the front here is a new piece because it was drilled through and then these wires went through it. So I didn't want that, so I notched it out on the bottom right here so that these wires could go underneath. So now I can get to all the wires. I can get to everything that runs underneath down there. It's just way more access, and then we also have the other panel, floor panel on that side, so we can get into the bilge area as well, down beneath. So that was something that I really liked to do because storage is crucial on a sailboat when you live on it. So adding that more storage, we had those we had the shore power cables underneath the seat over there, and that freed up underneath the seat, so now we can put something else in there. So it made a lot of sense for us to do that. One last thing that was a bit of a challenge for us was dealing with the table. So originally from the factory, the mast came through and went through the table, and there was no way to take the table off without pulling the mast out. So we thought that was
ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. So
especially because the table was cracking underneath, yeah, and we really needed to fix it.
Correct. So the underneath where this hinge goes on from the bottom, it was cracking, and the hinge wasn't staying attached to the table top, so the leaf was very loose on here. So that was one thing we really wanted to fix, and we couldn't do that with the way it was because it's hard to push glue up and clamp, and so
we tried.
Yeah, we tried. So when we pulled it out, where it attaches to the bulkhead, somewhere along the line they actually used wood glue and glued it to the bulkhead. I would never recommend anybody doing that, because now this last 2-inch piece here can never be detached from the bulkhead unless you damage the bulkhead. So I had to cut it here to get the table off. So that's the first cut, and it is supported from underneath and screwed in now. And then we made a cut here so that it can actually be detached, so you can pull this leaf off, and then you can actually detach it from itself right there and pull the table off. And then you can also take this section off as well. So that's something that I think is a big improvement. We did lose, a little bit, and it's really close to hitting the bulkhead now, the leaf is, but it worked out good, and I definitely like the fact that we can take the table off now without pulling the mast out of the boat. So now we'll get on to the stuff we actually recorded repairing.
Somewhere down the line of owners of Willow, not the last owner, but he thinks maybe the owner before, somebody thought it would be a good idea to remedy a leak problem by caulking in our jib sheet tracks. So today we are working on removing all of the caulking and rebedding the jib sheets tracks because they are actually leaking. As you can see, they're really filled with gunk. I mean, they caulked in the whole friggin' thing, even the holes on top of the screws, which Jim and I worked on cleaning out so that we could unscrew them the past couple days. We'd like to eventually be able to use these things, so it's It'll be nice to get them cleaned out. You can see our little car is pretty well stuck in that one position.
As you can see with these two clips, it can be a ton of fun to get to some places on a boat, especially when you're trying to get into super tight areas with a wrench. Guarding the dock.
Mm-hmm. I let Katie sit outside. She's hanging out there because she's been kind of spending a lot of time on the boat. And she's just sort of sitting out in the sun, not really doing anything or playing or running around or anything. She's just sitting there. So have you ever put your arms up into small dark places as much as you have since you've been living on a boat?
No. I don't know if you can see it, but so I'm working on this track here. I can't see if the camera's adjusting to that or not. But anyhow, I'm working on that, cleaning that all out. And Steph is over here cleaning the actual rail off. And it's a warmer day today, so
We always choose the warmest days to do this stuff outside. I don't
yeah.
know why.
Yeah, it's a nice day out. It's a little warm to be doing work on the boat, but it's alright.
What you doing now?
Taking off this hood so that we can get to the jib sheet track bolts that are underneath the vinyl.
So you're unscrewing stuff so you can unscrew more stuff.
Yep. Typical on a boat, apparently.
Yeah, we've learned that a little bit, haven't we? Yeah, that didn't sound good. Trying to get into this zipper, which is probably original to the boat. And it's really, like, some of the zipper pulls are not even around anymore. Last night I baked some cookies. They're oatmeal chocolate chip and they're pretty delicious. But Jim assures me that a post-breakfast cookie is not a thing. So I guess I'll refrain for now. Sounds awful.
Well, come to think of it.
That's just now we're just messing around.
I buried its guts. Now you got coconuts.
The last few bolts have to be accessed through the seat back here. I was thinking about bolts. Are they bolts or are they screws? That might have been the wrong word. Looks like you're having fun.
We are butyl taping the holes on the jib sheet tracks, top and bottom, so when they seal back to the deck they'll be sealed just around the holes instead of running a whole strip of caulking down the center of it. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now, and then we'll put it down onto the deck and stuff will hold the top for me and I will screw them in from the bottom.
Jim is loading up washers and nuts and what is this little thing called?
Lock washers.
Lock washers. On all the screws, there's 36 of them, and once he's done, then he will tighten them from the inside, and I will hold them up top so that they don't spin and mess up the butyl tape. It is not a fun job. Jim's up top spraying down the jib sheet track so that we can check and see if there is any leaking from where we put the butyl tape in. And I'm down here kind of checking out underneath. I don't know if you can even see anything because it's kind of dark in there, but we're looking for drips. So far I don't see anything. Jim's working on the last of our rebedding the jib sheet track project. He's sewing up the headliner because the zipper is too old to resew. How's that project going?
Okay.
Taking a while. How long have you been at it?
Like an hour already.
Yeah, I was gonna do it, but I had to do some photo editing for this wedding that we just did, so I told Jim I would do it when I got back, but he wanted to get it started, so here we are.
I don't need to start drinking coffee here.
I agree. So with the boat a complete mess, this is what Jim is reduced to when making coffee. One of the biggest issues from the survey that was done on Willow before we bought the boat was that there was a little bit of moisture in the deck where the bow pulpit attaches, because somewhere along the line it looked like somebody hit a piling or something. So today we're working on rebedding the bow pulpit. Jim's working on getting all of the screws out. How's it going?
It's going okay. Some of these are bent though because of, I don't know if it's because of the bowel pulpit being hit. I'm not really sure. I might have to go buy some new screws. These ones are super long too and probably hang out an extra inch from underneath the deck. I really don't think they need to be that long. But we'll show you the damage over here to the deck once we get this off.
Okay. Am I turning it or no?
Turning it in. Lefty.
Jim's got to shove his arm into this teeny tiny little hole in order to get the down to the other side of here. And of course there's another entry spot right there. But he says there's something blocking it, so he can't get to it from the other side.
There's like a piece that runs right about here. I'm guessing for support, maybe like a bulkhead or something for support of the deck. You see that?
Oh wow.
That's how bent it is. This one's the same.
Sucks. So we're doing this today because we've got a couple of days of really nice weather. It's supposed to be in the 80s, which here is pretty hot. So it's a nice time to give it a little bit to dry out before we put it all back together.
Definitely hit something.
You think? It didn't just come that way?
Nope. We got all the bolts out and my arms are like jacked up now. Set it like that for now, and then you can see here where the deck has damage from the, I need to clean it up, but where the deck has damage from the them hitting something. It looks like that's probably okay there. I need to remember that that's not bolted down, so I
don't use it to support yourself.
And this one's got a little bit of damage to it, but not bad. See it pushed in back into this hole a little bit. I think it's okay. So that the side right there is the one where, and that's why the blue tape is here, so we would make sure we wouldn't forget. The surveyor put that there because that's where the most moisture in the deck was. We had some down the jib sheet tracks and along the stanchions. We did the jib sheet tracks. We have not done the stanchions. So that'll be, the stanchions are probably okay for this winter, so we'll probably do that next summer or next spring, along with the hatches, which are leaking just a little bit. That'll probably be next spring type project, but this one we wanted to get done before the rains really came. We've already had some, but we want to make sure we get it done before it really starts raining.
I don't know if you can see all the fish in this video, but there's tons of them right there, tons of little bait fish. They've definitely definitely come back. Yeah, you can see the fish. Lots and lots of bait fish. Little herrings, I think. Jim's cleaning up all of the spots that we just cleaned, making sure there's no dust and gunk before
I think the brush.
we reattach the bow pulpit. Can you see the fish? Can you see them? I love scaring the fish. What are you doing now?
Clean the bottom of this off.
Getting ready to reattach it?
Yep.
Alright, we're screwing back down the front and we're going to lift it and put some, what, 4200, is that what we're using?
Yeah.
Down underneath